Well, our next speaker has over a decade of experience in high-ticket sales and marketing, leading teams to over $30 million in sales. Now, if there was a speaker that had over a decade experience in high-ticket sales and over $30 million in high-ticket sales, what would you like them to talk to you about? Oh, prize, yes. Well, my friend, what would you like them to talk to you about?
High-ticket sales.
Well, you are in luck. Please be upstanding and give a massive Waves of Impact welcome, talking the 80-20 of high-ticket sales. It's Kerry James!
Awesome. Great. All right. Great to see you all today. Can we give another round of applause for Nate? This guy is changing lives. Come on. Yes. Okay. So, quick survey before I begin. Figure out how that works. Quick survey. How many people in here have ever closed a sale personally? Raise your hand. Okay. Quite a few. Cool. Okay, how many people in here have ever studied the art and the science of high-ticket sales? A few hands. Okay, how many people love getting sold to in here? Love getting sold to? Okay, that's good. And how many people love getting taken advantage of? Anyone? Gotcha. Okay. Last one. How many people in here love changing lives? Everyone. I thought I was in the right room. Good to see. Okay. So I'm going to start out with a little story here. And funny enough, we didn't plan this to be right after Nate, but I will continue part of Nate's story here. It was 2016, and I was in Saigon, and and I was getting auctioned off at a charity event. Right? So it was like this thing where like guys, they wear these suits, and then you walk down a runway, and then you get auctioned off to go on a date, and then they take the money from the auction and they give it to charity. So there I was, and then I see this raggedy-haired guy from Wales named Ryan, and we had never met before. We start chit-chatting as we're waiting to get on the chopping block. And it turns out that we shared a lot of values. You know, we were talking about like travel, adventure, freedom. We're like in Vietnam. We were both teaching English at that time, scraping pennies together to be able to fund our insane lifestyle. And yeah, I was like, okay, we got to hang. We got to do this. So we got auctioned off. A couple days later, we take our little motorbikes through the streets of Saigon, and we go to a cafe, sit at these little plastic chairs, and start talking about the future. We start talking about what we want to do, you know, with our lives. You know, it's like we've kind of did the whole like bucket list, sell everything we own, go to across the planet, teach English sort of thing. So we're like, what's next? And then we're like, obviously more adventure, more travel, more freedom, but to a higher degree. And that's when he started talking about this random dude named Nate. And I was like, okay, who's Nate? You met this guy in a bus, whatever, you're in Cambodia or wherever you were at the time. You met Nate. And then he starts talking about how all the water everywhere is poisonous, and we're all going to die if we drink this water. And then he was telling me that he was saying something along the lines of like, if you manifest it, you can have mountains of wealth. You just have to think it, and it will become. It will happen. He was reading the book The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. And at that point, I thought he was batshit crazy. I was like, this dude's off his rocker. He's absolutely nuts. But I like his style. I like his vibe. So we became pretty good friends. I consider him one of my best friends on the planet. We became good friends that day, and he left me with a quote. And I don't know if you remember this, Ryan. I actually was thinking about it last night. He left me with a quote, and that quote was, oh, sorry, I forgot the pictures. That's Ryan right there. That's me. I don't know what he's looking at, but that's him. That's us the next couple of days, right? And he left me with a quote. And that quote is, you teach a man to sell, he'll never go hungry a day in his life. And at that point, I had had some experience in sales, but I had never dedicated myself to the art of sales. I'd never taken it seriously. I'd never read like a book on it. And then he told me that quote, and I was like, wait a second, this is easy. We just got to learn how to sell. You'll never go hungry a day in your life. Quit teaching English, do whatever you want to do. So that's exactly what I did. And then since then, I've had a pretty good life. So I've been able to travel. I've been able to live a lifestyle that is, in alignment with my values. Been able to go some pretty cool places. That's Ryan and I in Mexico over there. And it's all thanks to learning how to sell, right? Now, a couple of key highlights, like he was saying, I've now directly closed or managed teams that have closed over $30 million in revenue. I have helped develop, hire, and build out the careers of over 50 salespeople who are now living some pretty good lives themselves. And then I also have a network that money can't buy, as well as the Swiss Army knife of business skills. The reason I tell you this is not to brag. It's to let you know that this is a very powerful skill set that I encourage you all to take very seriously. I got to meet a few billionaires along the way too. That guy owns Calendly. If you ever booked a call, that's his company. Next, so I'm gonna run through the 80-20 of high ticket sales with you today. So that's the 20% of skills and variables to take into consideration that will get you the highest return on your time investment if you learn them and you pay attention to them. It'll get you an 80% outsized return. We'll start with the basics. We'll go into, if we have time, depending on time, we'll go into the future of sales, and then we'll go into Q&A as well. So starting out, what is sales? A lot of people, when they hear this word, it creates a visceral reaction. They might get a little nervous, et cetera, et cetera. To me, there's two definitions. One, sales is where the marketing stops and the human interaction begins. So marketing is your YouTube, it's your content, it's your posts, it's your Facebook Lives, et cetera, et cetera. But then when you get in the DMs and you're messaging people directly, or you're getting on a Zoom call, or you're meeting somebody for coffee, that's when the sales interaction starts. Second definition should be a 2. It's the single most important moment in some people's lives, right? So I've been fortunate enough, I've sold a lot of coaching, consulting, advisory sort of products in my day. And some of the products that I've sold, people have told me after I sold them to them that it changed their lives in a number of ways. I've had one individual tell me that they were suicidal before they went through a program that I sold them, and after they were not. I've had another tell me that it had saved their marriage, saved his marriage when his marriage with his wife was on the rocks, and what I sold him changed that. And I had another girl, a very memorable conversation, that told me that through the program that she bought from me, she was able to earn money that allowed her to leave an abusive relationship. So I take this very seriously, and I encourage you to do this as well. This is not just how do I get these people's money. This is how do I change their lives through them taking a bet on themselves and investing in themselves. So it's important stuff. But how? How do you do that? How do you close deals? How do you do this in a way where you feel good about it? You don't feel icky about it. You get them over the line, they give you money, they register, they sign up for your product, whatever it is, and then you guys are both better people because of it. It's a few different ways, but I like to start with the basics. So some in here, I know there's some more advanced people, there's some not so advanced people who are just starting out on their journey. The most advanced salespeople that I know in the world, anyone doing over $1 million a year in revenue, they never don't do the basics. So it's always going back and reiterating on what you learned at the beginning. It's these same principles that you got to keep in mind. So if you do these, you will not only do well at the beginning, but you'll continue to improve throughout your career. First is professionalism, and I'm big on this one because, like I said, this is important stuff. These people are showing up for moments that could actually change their lives. And when I talk about professionalism, I mean how you look when you show up to, I'm mostly going to be talking about Zoom calls, the sales interaction, but you need to make sure that you have video that is clear. You need to look great. You need to ensure that you're not, I know everybody wants to work on the beach. Working on the beach is not as great as it sounds. So you get sand in your laptop and all that stuff. But it's important that your video is clear, that you're not in a place with bad Wi-Fi, you're coming in great. Your audio needs to be great. You can't have background noise. You can't have people you need to take this seriously and ensure the other person knows that you're taking it seriously. Next one is punctuality. 10 minutes early every time, and you need to know a bit about your prospect. Your prospect is the person you're trying to sell to. You need to look them up online, look up their LinkedIn, look up their Instagram, whatever it is. Take a moment to let them know that you tried to learn something about them. And then last is your personal presentation. Again, important moment. Respect their time by showing up, looking clean, have a shirt on, whatever you got to do. Okay. Next one is integrity. One of my favorite words. So integrity, it means doing what you say you're going to do. And it also means not lying. Not that any of you in here would do that on a sales call, or you would never try to get somebody over through dishonest means. But it can be tempting to do that when you're like right there and you're about to close a deal and you're about to get somebody signed up, but then there's just one thing that they need that you don't have, so you might tell a little fib. The truth is, though, is that lies don't scale. You can't lie to somebody. You might be able to close one deal, but you can't close 10 deals. You can't run a business off lies. So simply, it's going to be a waste of time if you're doing that. Have integrity. Next is a CRM. That stands for Client Relationship Manager. Raise your hand if you employ a CRM in your business. Yeah, in the back, cool. There is hope. Okay, great. No, it's CRMs. Like I was doing spreadsheets. I was like, at the beginning, just like writing names down, write names in a notebook, et cetera, et cetera. But having something like this is one called Pipedrive. There's many different kinds you can use. You could use a spreadsheet, but keep track of your clients. Keep track of the people that you're trying to close down. Keep notes on them. Every call, take a note. Be sure that when you jump back on a call with them later, you know who they are. You know what their favorite food is because they were telling you about it in the call before. You know that their grandma's sick. Ask them how their grandma is. Keep notes on the people that you're trying to sell to. And also keep in mind that what gets measured, what gets tracked, grows. If you're not measuring and tracking variables, then you're not able to see where the learning opportunities are. So please use the CRM. Next is your script. And yesterday we were hanging out with some of the more advanced 6A-2 individuals in the little session that we had, and we were talking about the script. And a lot of people, they like to sell from intuition. And I'm all about intuition. Intuition is fascinating. Like you build it up through experience, you build it up through exposure to different kinds of people. Intuition is a powerful tool. But I want you to write your intuition down. You need to systemize that. You need to figure out what's working on the call you were on before compared to the next call. You collect data points. As you collect the data points, you're able to grow, you're able to improve. What happens when you only sell from intuition, like, oh, I feel like I should say this at this time, versus like following kind of and I'm not talking about a word for word script here, I'm talking about an outline, just like having an idea, like the measures, the beats. But when people, they go through and they're, I'm just gonna sell with my intuition, then what happens on a day when your intuition is totally screwed up because you're hungover, or you're tired, or you just don't feel good that day, your boyfriend broke up with you? What's gonna happen then to your intuition? You think your intuition's gonna be as capable as it was a week ago or yesterday when you were bright and shiny? It's not repeatable, it's not scalable. So please, use a script. This is the script I went through yesterday. It's an outline, right? Obviously I have like 20 pages when this is actually full with the right questions, the right beats, etc. But this is an outline that I've used personally, and I've seen used effectively to close over $15 million worth of sales. So people using this every single day for every single call, they use this framework, they make a lot of money. And this is called the Bridge framework. I'll briefly run through it. Can't go through it in full detail because I don't have time, but we'll see what we do. First, it's all about building a bridge. You want to give this person, you want to figure out what it is they most want, what it is they most don't want, and how to get from the thing they don't want to the thing that they do. It's the Bridge framework. It starts out, and this is a really important piece, it's about first 5 minutes of the sales interaction. You want to ensure that when you welcome them to the call, that you are the one dictating what is taking place in this situation. You are the boss. You don't have to be a dick, but you are the boss, right? And they need to know that. They need to know that you're the ones facilitating the situation, not them. They don't just come in barging about this question, about this thing. You're giving them kind of the ground rules from the beginning. You start out, okay, build a little rapport. Oh, where are you from? You're from Texas. That's great. My grandma's from Texas. Okay, we're tribe aligned. Then you say, okay, you got time for this call? It's going to be about 45 minutes. I want to make sure you have time for this. Okay, you're good? Next, okay. Well, the way that we do these calls, I've done a lot of these before. The way that we do these is I'm going to go through a series of questions to better understand what it is you want, what your goals are. Based off that, I can invite you in to work with me. You already know what I do. You wouldn't be on this call if you didn't, but I'm going to talk more about what I do, the details of it, the commitments that you're going to need to make to be able to work with me. And then we can talk about getting you signed up and working together. So I'll run through those questions, and then we'll get you enrolled. Does that sound good? You get their confirmation. When they confirm, they know that you are the boss, that you are running the show, and then you have free reign for the rest of the call to do whatever you want, to dictate what's happening. After that, you go through, there's a number of different ways to do this, but you want to identify their heaven and their hell. What is it that they most don't want to happen in their life? Is that where they're currently at? Is that what's going on today for them? Or are they almost there? Are they almost to a dead-end job where their kids hate them and they can't get out of bed in the morning because they're not motivated? Figure out what that is, because the better you understand their pain, then the better picture you can paint for them of what life could look like with the thing that you have to offer them, right? So jumping into heaven, you're going to ask questions like, I really like okay, let's talk 2 years from now. You're living a 10 out of 10. I mean, absolutely amazing life. Paint me a picture of what that looks like. Okay, you're doing this. You're on the beach. You're living a great lifestyle. You paid for your mom's car. You have a lot of friends. You didn't have friends before. Now you have a ton of friends. Okay, they tell you all that. What you're doing is you're collecting ammo, I like to call it. You're collecting pieces to tie your solution to later when you build a bridge to heaven from hell. You've identified the gap. You've identified what they don't have in their life, and then you put them together. You're going to do that with whatever product it is you're selling. I know some of you in here have your own coaching programs. You have your own advisory sessions that you do that tie into the Enagic product. However you do it, you want to talk about how all the features and benefits of your product are going to help them get specifically from their hell to their heaven, right? There's a number of ways to do that, but it's absolutely vital, because without that pain, without a problem, they're not going to give you money, or they're not going to be a part of your team. They're not going to bite. So this is absolutely necessary for any type of sales interaction. And then towards the end of that portion where you're like, okay, well, this is what's going on. This is what I have to offer. This is how I think that, based on what you told me, my professional opinion, I have a few things you can use to fix that hell that you're trying to get away from and get towards your heaven. Then they're probably, like at that point, that's usually when people lose the sale, because they're gonna be like, I don't have any money. Sorry, I can't do this. And they're gonna be, telling you all the reasons why they can't do it. But what you're gonna do instead, and this is a powerful move, is you're gonna unobstruct the bridge before they even begin to cross it. You're gonna say something along the lines of, like, the common things, the reason people don't buy your product. You know that already. So what are those things? It's time, it's money, it's their husband doesn't want them to do it, etc. So you go through a checklist and you say, okay, well, what would stop you to being able to do this? You can say something along the lines of, okay, so how about timing? Do you have time to commit to be able to work with me right now? It's going to take about 3 to 4 hours a week of your time. You're going to have to dedicate to this. Would you be able to do that? And then you go through the next one. Okay, money. This does take an investment. If this is within your budget, or I'm able to help you find the funds to be able to invest in this product, would you then commit to it? Or would there be something else that would be holding you back? This one's often overlooked. It's magic. You want to unobstruct, get rid of their objections before they even tell you them, right? And then the last one, which I've been talking with Ryan a bit about, is you want to land them on the other side. You want to ensure that whatever it is you're selling is easy to sell, and to be able to register them, take their credit card details, whatever it is. Get them, they've just committed. They're on the other side. They say, okay, you solve their problems for them. They're on the other side. They say, I want to do this. You need to make sure it's easy for them to do it. It can't be a 5-day process where maybe they transfer money or do all these things. You want to make it as easy and seamless for them as possible. And you want to memorize that part of your script as best as you can, because you're going to be doing it over and over and over. And that's usually when they fall, they're like, actually, I need to talk to my mom, or I need to talk to my wife. So it's like you just want to get them on as soon as possible. And then you give them homework at the end. That's one I don't have here, but give them some homework after they end up closing. You don't want them to get buyer's remorse, anything like that. Tell them to go read a book. Tell them to go study this thing that you had on your Facebook, but give them some homework afterwards. It's a powerful script, so please use that as you'd like to. I'll have at the end, you can download it. I'll give you a resource, but pretty powerful stuff. After your script, which please use one, you want to jump into frames. This says basics. It's a little more advanced. You're going to want to get at least 10 to 20 closes under your belt before you're able to utilize frames. I mean, maybe you could if you're very intuitive, but frames are essentially they're what takes place before the call. You jump into a mindset before the call. You do your inner work. You align yourself. You do your game, whatever it is you got to do. Some of the frames that I employ that work best on a call. The first one is the doctor frame. And the doctor frame is when you tell yourself, okay, I'm going in to save this person's life. As a doctor, like when you go into a doctor's office, you go in, you say, my stomach hurts. You go in, and they never just jump right out at you and say, buy my stuff. They never do that. They ask you questions. They have concern. You'll go to a nurse, and the nurse will be like, what's going on? Let me take your vitals. Let's get all these, details from you. It's like, okay, you passed the test. You can go to the doctor. Then the doctor, they do the same thing. They ask you questions. They get to the bottom of the problem. They figure out who you are and what you want and what's going on, right? Then, towards the end of the interaction with the doctor, they're going to say something along the lines of, well, based off what you just told me, you have the flu. And I've seen a lot of patients with that this week. They're coming with the flu all the time. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take this medicine. You're going to want to get some rest. And then we can talk again in a week and see how you feel. So that's the recommendation that they give after their years of experience. So you trust them. But what a lot of people don't realize is they just got sold. The doctor they persuaded them. They gave them a recommendation and they did it and they took the medicine. That's a sales interaction. So if we take that same mindset to our prospects and we say, okay, tell me what your problems are. Let's understand it together. And then you give a recommendation. This is what I think you should do. You're much more likely to close them. You're much more likely to not trigger sales resistance. So is this useful? Show of hands. Would you guys ever use that? Okay, cool. Love the doctor frame. Next one, more so the visual here is what I'd like you to try to memorize before you get on a call. It's really valuable stuff. It's the trusted advisor frame. Over here, that's a versus frame. Most people, when they start out in sales and they're sitting across the table from a friend, a prospect, whoever they're trying to close, they get nervous. They get all in their head and they're like, oh my God, I can't do this. This person thinks I'm trying to scam them, blah, blah, blah. And then the other person is the same thing. They're like, oh my God, they're just trying to take my money, all of this. The reason that's like that is because your energy's like that. You're in a versus frame. You're in an adversarial frame. What you want to attempt to employ is an advisor frame, where you're metaphorically sitting on the same side of the table as them, and then you're looking at the problem together. For example, somebody says, well, I'd love to do this, but I just don't have the money. Most people, they go, well, have you seen this benefit? What about this? What about this? And they keep trying to push the sale on them. What you should do instead, or what you could do instead, is metaphorically get on the same side of the table and say, okay, so you don't have enough money for this. I get that. Is that actually what's going on? Is there anything else? Okay, it's actually money. Okay, great. How do we get the money for this? Like, how do we actually, like, you let me know, like, what can we do to acquire the funds to be able to invest in this product? You know, say it's Eric. It's like, Eric, tell me, like, can you get a credit card? How's your credit score? Can you talk to family? Can you, like, I really want you to do this. You just told me all these things, and I know this is going to help you. Let's figure this out together, right? So you get on the same side of the table as them. Next up is the reverse sell, okay? This comes from the belief, and the core belief that I really encourage you all to inhabit as much as possible is that your time is valuable. You are going to die. You are someday not going to have any more time. So it's very valuable that you respect your own time. Doesn't matter if you're selling a $100, access to a group, or you're selling a $20,000, coaching program. Doesn't matter what it is. Your time is valuable, and you need to treat and respect yourself as such when you get on the call. If you have that internally, and you know that, then the other person feels that. Then the other person considers you a person of value, a person of authority. And what it allows you to then do is start to use different vocabulary. When you get towards the end, when you're like, okay, well, do you have time? Cool. Do you have time to, do you have time to work with me? I got a program. It takes time commitment. It takes time investment. Are you going to be able to do this? And you're going to be able to commit time to me. You start to get them to sell you, right? Research that. It's really powerful stuff. I'm going to go ahead and move ahead. The next is objections, which we've talked about a bit. We've played around with those ideas, but there's many different types of objections. First, this framework I'm going to give you is going to make you a lot of money. I'm sure of that, because a lot of people, they don't even have an objection strategy. They just go in, and it's like somebody says no, and they're like, okay, bye. Maybe we'll talk next week. So these are the types of objections that you're going to face: money, spouse, lack of confidence, values not there, timing. And I would love to hear from you guys, like, what kind of objections do you face? Any hands? What's up?
Yeah, usually it's time.
Okay. Any other ones that I don't have listed there? Go ahead.
Pyramid scheme, scam.
Sorry?
Pyramid scheme or scam.
It's a scam. Okay, cool. Any more? Good. Okay, so these are going to be the ones that you're going to see over and over and over again. The way that most of them, 99% of them, can be solved is that. You should take a picture of that. It's pretty good stuff. So the first thing you do is when they say, I can't do this, then you isolate the objection. You say, okay, well, if money wasn't an issue, would you want to move forward with this? Would this sound like a good idea? It's like, okay, great. Well, then now we have one problem to solve. You're sure that it's a money thing. You're sure that that's the only thing you need to do. Now, then you say, it's like, okay, well, what about this? Is it that you don't have the money? Is it that it's too much? Is it a value situation? You have the money, but you don't want to pay it? You figure out what the real objection is. You identify it. You get down to the details. And then, like I said before, trusted advisor frame, you say, okay, well, what can we do to make this work? Same thing with a spouse objection. You say, okay, well, my wife said I can't do it. Okay, is it really your wife, or are you just scared? Is it really your wife, or are you don't have self-confidence that you can make this work? I think it's a scam, something like that. No, it's my wife. She's just not going to let me do this. Okay, well, if she said it was okay and she was like, this is awesome, please do it, then would you want to do this? Would you want to move forward? Okay, you've identified, you've isolated, gone through. Okay, well, what would she not like about you doing this? That's you identifying for sure the thing that he knows that she's going to say. Okay, she's going to say that you're an idiot because you've done this before and you will fail again. It's like, okay, well, what can we do for her to make her confident that you're not going to fail this time? Get her to solve it for you, okay? So this right here, this is a fun little tidbit. It's also my girlfriend's favorite piece, so I had to tell you about it. How to sell more. We got 5 minutes, right? Yeah. 5 minutes, okay. How to sell more. So over the last few years, I've had the opportunity to work with some really, really smart scientists, neuroscientists specifically, people studying flow states. Has anybody ever heard of a flow state here? Okay, flow states. So yeah, flow states. Like if you want to sell more without using automations, etc., like I encourage you to use automations. There's been other people at this conference that have talked about automations and how to do funnels, etc. But one of the key variables that when I work with my salespeople and tell them to employ is to utilize flow states. So flow states they're not as wooey. Like some people, they consider them like being in the flow around, getting in the flow of life, all this. I consider them a very resource-rich brain state that you get into. Some people spend 10 minutes a day in flow. Some people spend hours in flow. Everybody does spend time in flow. It's when you're really focused, you lose track of time, you lose track of self. Your creativity goes through the roof, your effort, everything's effortless that you do. And then your ability to get things done to be productive gets up to like 5 times higher. And there's research to support this. So in a flow state, that's what's going on. The ways to get more flow states throughout your day, and that's what happens is when people learn the basics of sales, when they get to the other side, the only thing stopping them from making even more money and being even better at sales is the amount of things they can do in a day, is how they deal with distractions, deal with their time. So employing flow states, the things that you do, the first is, I don't know why, let's say 1. These are all number 1. They're all important, okay. Awareness and tracking, so take a log. Like start logging how much time you were focused versus not focused. Then active recovery, that means like not drinking a beer on the beach. That means like sauna, ice bath. That means yoga. That means meditation. These allow you to reuptake neurotransmitters that are not always available to you. It takes a lot of brain resources to get into flow. Next is time blocking. That means doing all your calls in one block, all your admin, all your, and then all your marketing in another block. But blocking throughout the day. And then having device discipline, ensuring that your phone's not by you, which you guys know that. Quick one on future sales. We talked about this yesterday. A few things we're working on. One is that soon AI will dominate in the sales world. Right now, there's already robots that can take phone calls and pass the Turing test, meaning they can successfully close a deal on the phone with a human being and take their money. So that's happening today. There's sales departments across the US that are getting eaten up by that right now. Next is in a couple of years, humans will be on Zoom calls. This technology already exists. I have a friend that talked to some friends at Microsoft, and he saw this demonstrated. So a person on Zoom that's like a clone of you that can close down a sale on your behalf. We're a couple of years away from that. It's pretty exciting. The reason I tell you that is not to scare you. It's because the people that are the best at sales are the ones that are going to be training the robots. And then they will obviously, they'll benefit at an even more exponential level. So the adaptable will inherit the future, and that's one of the quotes I want to leave you on. Quick recap, we talked about integrity and professionalism. We talked about CRMs and scripts. Talked about frames and objection handling. Questions? Anybody? How much time we got, Ryan?
4 minutes.
4 minutes, okay. Question, right here. You have to speak up. Yeah. Courses? Books or courses? Yeah. So one that really, like there's obviously millions of books on sales and courses, et cetera. The ones that I personally enjoy and recommend. One that changed my life, that was The Way of the Wolf by Jordan Belfort. If you guys have ever seen that. Helped me to employ that every sales call is the same, and that's what it's talking about, the data and the tracking. That's how you grow and get better, is you treat every sales call as the same. It's just another experiment running over and over. The Way of the Wolf, Jordan Belfort. The next one, there's really good stuff by a guy named Jeremy Miner. He teaches a concept called NEPQ. Highly recommend that. And then there's a book called The Greatest Salesman in the World. It's more of a parable, less of a guide, but I learn best with parables. It's a really good one. It just talks about how sales is everywhere. Whether you know it or not, you are selling right now, every day, all day. So, another question right here? Or no? Cool. Any more questions? Second one, it's Jeremy Miner, NEPQ. And also, if you guys have specific questions or anything that you want to talk about, funnel reviews, etc., just scan that thing or hit me up on Instagram and shoot me a message, and we'll see what we can do. And I'll be around for the next day or two if you want to talk. But any other questions? More? Cool. Okay. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you having me here today. It's really great to see. What? Scan the QR code. Oh, scan the QR code. Yeah. You got it? Yeah. Also, I'll do it to you, Ryan. I got to do it. Does everybody know it's Ryan's birthday next week? Do you know that? Yeah, Tuesday? Okay, well, because everybody's not going to be in the same room on Tuesday, I was thinking it could be really cool to sing Ryan happy birthday. What do you guys think? Yeah? You with me? Okay, let's go for it. Ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. All right. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good weekend.
Come back.
What are you doing? Where are we going?
Come on, more!
Yeah. Do you have a question? Okay, cool. Question. Yeah, what's up, man?
Thank you so much. One of the things I was thinking about when you're selling and kind of using energy and feelings, which is energy emotion, which is emotion, kind of being intuitive, listening to tonality, pitch, and people looking at body language. Is there anything you can add to that kind of how reinforce that kind of stuff?
Yeah, 1,000%. Energy, body language, especially tonality, which comes out through your energy. That is more advanced stuff. That's why I didn't talk specifically about that. Sorry?
We said we're advanced.
Yeah, you guys are advanced. Okay, awesome, perfect. So yeah, once you've got your reps in and always using a script and actually measuring what works and what doesn't, then you have a foundation in order to build your skill set. So that's why I talk about this stuff. The like tonality, energy as well. These are things that, you know, they're taking place, your ability to manipulate, to control your own energy, et cetera. This is taking place within the context of an actual ongoing conversation. So you have that awareness about the details, the mechanics, and then you jump into energy work. I highly encourage you to pay attention to that. That's kind of what we're talking about when we talk about frames. It's like, what kind of energy are you going into this call with? Are you going into it like, hey, I really need to get this guy's money or I'm not going to be able to pay rent? Or are you going into it like, hey, I could change this guy's freaking life and this is going to be an awesome call and I can't wait. So energy is big. Tonality, there's a whole art and science to tonality. I work on that. I do that naturally. So it's hard for me to know, like, there's different books, there's different things you can go out there and study on. I'm one of the people that are able to control tonality pretty naturally. But you can use tonality in different ways, everything from a falling voice, slowing down, all the way to getting really excited and getting stoked, etc. And some of the best salespeople in the world that are closing like, you know, $1 million, $10 million deals, etc. They're masters of tonality because you you're unlocking a code in somebody's brain with your voice, with them not even knowing it. It's a subconscious thing that takes place. So, hope that answers your question, man. Good? Cool. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate it. Yep, go ahead.
Beautiful. Thank you.